last March we had to make a report that shocked the world, man. Y'all were in Memphis, and Say So P was shot and killed. And
R.I.P. Say So P.
I mean, the footage came out. You were right there. Then days go by, and we see
right there on the ground, not right there.
Yeah.
Ran right there on the ground, shot up under the car. They seen the other footage.
Yeah.
Interview 0:00/0:37. If you thought celebrity betrayal couldn't get any sicker, think again. Candace Owens just dropped a nuclear bomb that's exploding across the internet right now. She leaked undeniable evidence that Erica Kirk, yes, Charlie Kirk's own widow, was pregnant with Yair Netanyahu's baby, Netanyahu's son, the heir to one of the most powerful political dynasties on earth. Bro, let that sink in. The woman standing beside Charlie through every battle was allegedly carrying another man's child behind his back. While Charlie was still alive, while he was building an empire, while he trusted her completely. The internet couldn't believe it, and you won't either. Screenshots, voice notes, hotel receipts, even an alleged ultrasound photo that Candace says came straight from Erica's own phone. This isn't rumor. This is betrayal at the highest level. If you were in Charlie's position, same woman, same bed, same lies, what would you do? Would you forgive? Or would you burn everything down? Let's break it all down step by step, and trust me, it gets way uglier from here. One fan already commented, "Bro said too much and they got him." Interview 1:19/1:36. Candace Owens didn't just leak a story, she lit a match and threw it straight into the heart of the conservative movement. Because what she exposed about Erica Kirk isn't just an affair. It's a full-blown pregnancy scandal involving one of the most powerful political bloodlines on the planet, Yair Netanyahu's baby. Yes, you heard that right. Charlie Kirk's widow was allegedly carrying the grandchild of Benjamin Netanyahu while her husband was still fighting for his life and his mission. How does something like this even happen? Interview 2:56/3:27. Charlie Kirk wasn't just any conservative voice. He was the future. Young, charismatic, razor-sharp, and fearless. He turned Turning Point USA into a powerhouse that shaped an entire generation. Erica was...
But as days went by, well, you know, people started investigating, and I guess y'all did a video in that hotel. Looking back, do you feel like that's how y'all were?
Man,
that's how people knew where y'all were at, or?
Man, Memphis is a small place. It's all type of reasons why motherfuckers knew. We wasn't up in there being secret. We was out there loud. And motherfuckers knew what he had. He knew what he had going on. Like, life is life.
Was right there beside him. Or, at least that's what everyone believed. The perfect wife. The loyal partner. The woman who smiled in every photo, held his hand during speeches, and whispered encouragement in his ear when the pressure got too heavy. But behind that picture-perfect image, a storm was already brewing. According to the explosive evidence Candace Owens just dropped, the cracks didn't start yesterday. They started years ago, quietly, secretly, while Charlie was busy changing America. Erica began moving in circles most wives in their position would never touch. Private donor dinners in Miami. Late-night fundraising events in New York. Exclusive trips to Europe that Charlie couldn't always attend because of his insane schedule. At first, it looked innocent. Networking, she called it. But insiders are now saying those trips were anything but innocent. Interview 4:09/4:19. The connection with Yair Netanyahu apparently started at one of those high-roller after-parties in Miami. Charlie had just finished a fiery speech. While he was shaking hands and taking pictures with students, Erica stayed behind. One conversation with Yair turned into another. Drinks flowed. Compliments turned flirtatious. And before anyone realized what was happening, lines were being crossed that should never have been crossed. Leaked DMs that Candace released paint a disgusting picture. Messages like, "You make me feel alive in ways Charlie never could." Another one, "I can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again?" Sent at 2:17 a.m. while Charlie was asleep in their hotel room just a few floors away. It wasn't just texting. Multiple sources and hotel records allegedly show secret meetups in luxury suites across the country. New York, Los Angeles, even overseas during what Erica called family time. She would tell Charlie she was handling Tfusa logistics or meeting old college friends. In reality, she was allegedly slipping away to be with Yair Netanyahu, the son of Israel's prime minister, a man who lives in a completely different world of power, money, and influence. And then came the moment that changes everything. According to Candace Owens' leak, Erica got pregnant during one of these forbidden encounters. The timing is what makes this so sickening. The alleged ultrasound photo and medical documents Candace shared.
Can you take us through that moment?
What moment?
While y'all were outside getting on smoke break.
The part that I tell y'all that it mattered, that was significant, it matters. If my brother would have listened to me, it would have saved his life that day. You know what I'm saying? Me and Say-So had a real argument. What I will tell y'all, this shit pissed me off, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We just had an argument about smoking and me getting free weed.
Point to a pregnancy that overlapped with the final months of Charlie's life. Charlie Kirk was still alive, still fighting, still believing his marriage was solid. He had no idea his wife was carrying another man's child. Imagine the pain. The man who dedicated his life to truth, values, and loyalty was being stabbed in the back by the one person he trusted most. While he was out there battling cancel culture and building a movement, Erica was building a secret life with Yair Netanyahu. The red flags were everywhere, if anyone had bothered to look. Sudden mood swings, expensive gifts that appeared out of nowhere. Times when Erica would disappear for hours with weak excuses. Charlie was so consumed by the mission that he missed all the warning signs. Or maybe he saw them but chose to ignore them because admitting the truth would have destroyed him. Now the entire internet is on fire. Conservative commentators who once defended Erica are turning on her overnight. Tfusa staff members are reportedly in shock. Some longtime donors are demanding answers. Social media is flooded with comments like, "This is worse than any soap opera. Charlie died thinking he had a loyal wife, and she was pregnant with Netanyahu's bloodline." Erica didn't just cheat on Charlie, she cheated on everything he stood for. Candace Owens went full savage in her live stream. She looked dead into the camera and said, "This woman was sleeping with the son of one of the most controversial figures in global politics while her husband was leading the fight for conservative values. And she got pregnant. If that doesn't wake you up, nothing will." The silence from Erica's side is deafening. Not a single post. Not a single denial. She has gone completely dark. Friends claim she's devastated and hiding from the storm. Devastated? Or just terrified that the full truth is about to come out? Because right now, this isn't just a personal scandal. This is shaking the foundations of the entire movement Charlie built. People are asking the hard questions. How deep did this go? Was money involved? Was there any political angle? Or was it pure lust and betrayal? The more we dig, the uglier it gets. While the conservative world was still reeling from the pregnancy leak, Candace Owens dropped the second bomb, and this one was even more explosive. She released what she claims are private voice notes between Erica Kirk and Yair Netanyahu. In those recordings, Erica can allegedly be heard saying things that will make your stomach turn.
A thread. A suggestion that maybe, just maybe, this Memphis shooting wasn't as random as it appeared on the surface. Now I am not here to make accusations. I am not here to point fingers without facts. But what I am here to do is tell you what the streets were saying. What the comments were saying. What the DMs and the posts and the fan pages were piecing together in the days after that shooting. And the narrative that started forming was this: that Sauce Walka's presence in Memphis, at that specific time, in that specific location, was known by the wrong people. And that those wrong people had connections that stretched far beyond Memphis city limits. The question wasn't just who pulled the trigger. The question was, who made the call? And that's where Lil Durk's name started coming up. And that's where King Von's legacy started getting pulled into a story that, on the surface, had nothing to do with either of them. But in this game, Nothing is ever really on the surface. And what happened next? What the investigation revealed? What Sauce Walka said in that interview that sent chills through everybody who heard it? That's coming up right now. Because here's what Sauce Walka did that most rappers in his position would never do. He sat down. He faced the camera. He talked. Not in a diss track. Not in a rage-filled Instagram live where emotions are all over the place. He sat in a real interview and he broke down exactly what happened, with a kind of calm, cold warrior energy that honestly made the whole thing hit harder than if he had screamed and cried through every second of it. And the things he said in that interview? They opened up a whole new conversation. A conversation that the rap community was not ready for. He talked about instinct. He talked about being a lion. He said a real warrior doesn't just charge into every dangerous situation because he can handle it. A real warrior is strategic. A real warrior knows when to move and when to be still. And on that day in Memphis, his instinct told him to be still, to stay inside, to wait. But loyalty overruled instinct. And that decision cost him his brother. Now while Sauce Walka was giving that interview, while he was sitting there processing grief and guilt and survival all at the same time, the internet was doing its own investigation. And the internet, as we all know, does not sleep, does not rest, does not give grace. It just digs. People started going through every single public interaction between Sauce Walka and anyone connected to Chicago. Every tweet, every interview clip, every moment where he had said anything remotely related to OTF, to King Von, to Lil Durk. And they started building a case, not in a court of law, but in the court of public opinion, which in the age of social media is sometimes even more powerful. Now let's talk about Lil Durk for a second. Because Lil Durk is not just a rapper at this point. Lil Durk is an institution. He is one of the biggest names in the entire music industry. His reach extends from the streets of Chicago to the biggest stages in the world. And with that reach comes a level of influence that most people can barely comprehend. When Durk speaks, people listen. When Durk moves, people notice. And when Durk's name gets connected to something, it becomes a headline instantly. The people making these connections online were pointing to a few specific things. First, the timing. The fact that this shooting happened in Memphis, a city with its own complex street politics, but also a city that has historically had connections to the broader Midwest and Southern rap ecosystem. Second, the method. The way this shooting was executed. Broad daylight, targeted, calculated. This wasn't a random robbery gone wrong. Memphis police themselves confirmed this was not random violence. This was targeted. This was planned. And when something is planned and targeted, there is always a reason. There is always a name behind the reason. Third, and this is the one that really got people talking, was what happened 1 week after the Memphis shooting. 1 week. 7 days later, one of the suspected gunmen, Jaden Dandridge, 21 years old, was found dead in Houston, Texas. Houston. Sauce Walka's city. The city where Sauce Walka has deep, deep roots and deep, deep connections. Now coincidence? Maybe. But in the streets, and in the court of public opinion, there are no coincidences. And people immediately started asking, what was a Memphis shooter doing in Houston 1 week after shooting one of Houston's biggest rappers? Was he running? Was he hiding? Or did someone make sure he ended up exactly where he ended up? Sauce Walka addressed this in his interview, and you could hear it in his voice, a mix of disbelief and something that almost sounded like dark satisfaction. He said, "Maybe God don't like ugly." And he left it right there. Didn't say anything more. Didn't need to. Because in those 5 words, everybody who knows the culture heard exactly what he meant. Now back to the King Von connection. Because this is where things get layered in a way that goes beyond just this one incident. King Von's death in 2020 created a domino effect in the rap world that we are still feeling to this day. The circumstances around his death, the location, the people involved, the aftermath, sparked a series of beefs, tensions, and unresolved situations that have never truly been put to rest. And some of those unresolved situations involve people connected to Southern rap circles. People connected to Memphis. People connected to Houston. The fans who were building these theories were saying that Sauce Walka, knowingly or unknowingly, had inserted himself into narratives that put him in a dangerous position. That certain things he had said publicly had been received as disrespect by people who have very long memories and very short patience. And that the Memphis shooting was potentially a message. Not just a hit, but a message. Now Sauce Walka himself never confirmed any of this. He was careful in his interview. He said he doesn't know what those people knew or how they felt. He said he doesn't even care to know. But here is the thing about Sauce Walka that you have to understand. This man is not naive. He did not get to where he is by being unaware of his surroundings or the implications of his words and movements. He knows exactly how this world works. And when he says he doesn't care to know who is behind it, there is a reading of that statement that goes far deeper than the surface level. Meanwhile, Saiso-P's family was left devastated. A 27-year-old man, a young rapper with real talent, with a real future, with people who loved him, was gone. Not because of anything he did necessarily, but because of where he was, who he was with, and what energy he was standing next to. And that is the tragic reality of this life. You can be completely innocent. You can be caught in something that has nothing to do with you. And it can still take everything from you. Fans of Saiso-P flooded social media with tributes. Sauce Walka posted a heartfelt message that honestly broke a lot of people's hearts, because in it you could feel the guilt of a man who tried to prevent something and couldn't. He said he wished Saiso-P had listened to him. He said he wished he had gone to DR with the rest of the crew and skipped Memphis altogether. But here is the cruel irony of loyalty. Sometimes loving someone means following them into situations you know are wrong. And sometimes that love is the thing that gets you both hurt. By the end of that first week, the rap world was not just mourning Saiso-P. It was asking hard questions. About Memphis. About Houston. About Chicago. About who connects to who and why. About whether the reach of certain beefs and certain histories is longer than any of us realized. And then the second suspect got arrested. And what came out of that investigation changed the entire conversation all over again. October 2025. 7 full months after the Memphis shooting that killed Saiso-P and left Sauce Walka with a bullet in his leg and grief in his heart, Memphis police announced that the second suspect, 23-year-old Kevin L. Brown, had been captured in Clarksville, Tennessee by U.S. Marshals. Arrested without incident. Charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, and employment of a firearm during the commission of a dangerous felony. And when that news dropped, the internet went right back to that conversation. Right back to those questions. Because the arrest didn't close the case in the court of public opinion, it reopened it. Because now people were asking the next logical question. Who sent them? Who funded this? Who gave the order? Two young men don't just roll up on a Houston rapper and his artist in broad daylight in downtown Memphis without some kind of backing. Without some kind of reason that goes beyond what's visible on the surface. And that's when Lil Durk's name came back into the conversation harder than before. Now here is what we know as fact. There is zero confirmed evidence, zero official statements, zero legal connection between Lil Durk and this shooting. Let me be crystal clear about that. Lil Durk has not been named as a suspect. He has not been charged. He has not been implicated by law enforcement in any official capacity in this case. What we're talking about here is the narrative that was built by the public, by the fans, by the streets, because in the rap world, the court of public opinion often operates completely separately from the legal system. And the narrative that the public built when something like this, Sauce Walka over the years, had made statements and moved in circles that created friction with certain Chicago-connected people. Whether those statements were direct disrespect or were interpreted as disrespect didn't matter to the people who received them. In street culture, perception is reality. And if someone with power and influence perceives that they've been disrespected, the response doesn't always come through official channels. King Von's legacy hangs over all of this like a shadow. Because King Von was not just Lil Durk's artist, he was his brother, his blood, his closest person in this world. And when you lose someone like that, especially the way Durk lost Von, that pain doesn't go away. That pain transforms. It becomes something else. Something that sits quietly and watches and waits. And in the rap world where beef has no expiration date, a lot of people started suggesting that what happened in Memphis was connected to a chain of events that goes all the way back to 2020, to Atlanta, to the night King Von took his last breath. Now Sauce Walka has never, on record, been directly connected to King Von's death or anything surrounding it. But the internet doesn't always need direct connections. It needs proximity. It needs suggestion. And it needs a narrative that makes emotional sense to the people who are already emotionally invested in the story of King Von and Lil Durk and OTF. And so that narrative spread. It spread through comment sections and Twitter threads and YouTube breakdowns and Discord servers and group chats. And every time it spread, it picked up a little more detail, a little more speculation, a little more certainty, even though at its core it was still built on suggestion rather than confirmed fact. But here is where it gets interesting from a real perspective. Because Sauce Walka, in his interview, said something that not enough people paid attention to. He said, when you choose to be around certain people, when you choose to love someone and stand next to someone who has their own history and their own enemies and their own past, you accept the consequences that come with that proximity. He was talking about say so P in that moment. But a lot of people heard something bigger in those words. They heard a man who understands that the world he lives in has rules that operate completely outside of what most people consider normal or logical or fair. And the fact that he said that, calmly, clearly, without anger, suggested to a lot of people that Sauce Walka himself has a theory about why this happened. He just isn't saying it out loud. At least not directly. Meanwhile, Lil Durk, who at this point in 2025 is dealing with his own extremely serious legal situations, has said nothing publicly about the Memphis shooting. Nothing about Sauce Walka. Nothing about any connection. And his silence, to some people, means nothing. Because why would he comment on something he has no connection to? But to others, in the culture, in the streets, silence can speak volumes. And then there are the fans of King Von. The people who loved him, who still stream his music, who still post his face and his lyrics and his legacy every single day. To them, every story that touches the people and the circumstances around his death is personal. And when they saw Sauce Walka's name attached to a Memphis shooting and started connecting threads to Chicago, they had feelings. Strong ones. And they made those feelings known in every comment section and every live stream and every YouTube video that covered this story.